Okay, it's 5:30, time for our meeting. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody have anything they'd like to have removed from the consent agenda? I do not. Okay. And we do have some special activities tonight. We have two distinguished judges from Warren County, Judge Gary Loxley and Judge Robert Fisher, and they're going to present the Warren County Court's annual review to us tonight. Gentlemen, it's nice to have you.
That's a wonderful introduction. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Warren County Court staff, thank you for allowing us an opportunity to come back. We were last here 2 years ago, and here we're back today to give you an update on what's going on. I'll do the first half of the presentation, and Judge Fisher will follow me. It'll take about 15-20 minutes of your time tonight. We appreciate your putting us first on the agenda. As you know, and I think most people in the room know, Warren County Court is kind of a misnomer. When you hear the Warren County Court, especially somebody from out of county or maybe an attorney from out of county, they say, well, you cover all of Warren County, but we don't. Our jurisdiction is limited in more ways than one, not only on the misdemeanor and below level crimes and traffic offenses and $15,000 civil limitation, but also we're limited in Warren County. We don't cover those three municipal court jurisdictions located within the county. So Franklin Municipal Court has its own, Lebanon Municipal Court has its own, Mason Municipal Court has its own jurisdiction. Warren County Court, where we are, we cover everything else in Warren County. So we have 8 townships, 10 villages and municipalities. Obviously, Clearcreek Township is one of those. You also have Wayne, and you have Massey, and you have Washington Township here in the northern part of the county, and all the villages and townships located in those 4 townships. That's known as the Area 1 docket, northern half of the county, and I'm the general person who takes over and presides over the Area 1, the northern part of the county. Judge Fisher's Area 2, Hamilton Township, Harlan Township, Union and Salem Township, and all the villages and municipalities located down there. So that's our jurisdiction. That's our divvying up the responsibilities. We cover for each other, and even though I live a stone's throw away from Clearcreek Township, I can cover Area 2, and Judge Fisher can cover Area 1, and sometimes we do cover for each other. Next slide, please. Here's our court staff.
I'm sorry, sir.
Here's our court staff. We have these 10 individuals who do an outstanding job on behalf of the community and the court system. Magistrate Rob Kaufman is our civil magistrate. He hears all of our civil cases Monday afternoons at 1 o'clock, and he's done a wonderful job for us. They all do. Other individuals of note here, Eloisa Kisselberth came over after serving for years in the domestic relations court. She's been with us since the last time we were last year, late in 2022, and she hit the ground running. A couple other individuals who are new to our staff. On the right-hand side, Madison or Maddie Wallen is our new probation officer, and at the very bottom there, Elaine Stonebreaker is one of our new probation clerks. Both of those individuals were hired within the last year. Our update to you wouldn't be complete without a recitation of the number of cases and our statistics, and so you can see the numbers. I'm not going to read them to you. The obvious year that's not on here is 2020. That's the pandemic year. Any type of statistics for that year would kind of skew any kind of comparison. Anyway, but you can see, especially in the traffic line, our numbers are down a little bit. I mean, we went back and took a look way back to the county court numbers in 2007. There were over 6,000 traffic citations filed in the county court jurisdiction in 2007. The following year, 2008, 5,100. Those were the biggest number of years for those numbers of traffic citations we have. And it's kind of counterintuitive when you think of it, because the county population is growing. Why don't we have a growing number of cases? Even with nearly 5,000 cases last year, we're still busy. We're still a busy jurisdiction, but there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Trying to come up with a rhyme or reason to it in preparation for this, for this presentation, had our court administrator take a look at the mayor's court statistics, and they're up and down as well. It's kind of a roller coaster ride at the mayor's court level. So maybe next year we'll exceed the number that we have this year, and it'll continue to rise or continue to go down, whatever the case may be. I'm going to talk about current issues, and this is not an all-inclusive list, obviously, but things that we're looking at, things that we're concerned about, and Judge Fisher will talk about a couple more current issues in a slide that he'll be presenting. Distracted driving is one. I mean, I think there's been a statute in Ohio now for almost 10 years, 2018, and then it's been modified over time. It was modified in April of last year, April 23, and then there was a kind of a grace period for about 6 months before any enforcement actually took place. But distracted driving is not just texting anymore. It's any electronic device that you're using. It could be a telephone, it could be a laptop, it could be some type of tablet or anything like that. And you can't do it with limited exceptions. You know, you can't do it while you're operating a motor vehicle for obvious reasons. If you are, you're creating a danger to yourself, anybody in your vehicle, anybody else on the roadways. And I bet everybody in this room has seen individuals. I mean, we could do the the Global Parallel citizens arrest, I suppose, for any type of distracted driving.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I would like to do that sometime.
Yeah, and see what happens.
I can't hit them, but you insure me, so I don't know if you want me to do that.
Now you're getting into the weeds.
Exactly.
But from our perspective as judges, a first offense within 2 years, $150 fine, 2 points on your driver's license. They are allowed and entitled by statute to take a distracted driving course, in which case the fine goes away and the 2 points goes away, but it's still on their record as an offense or a conviction, because that 2-year period, if they get a second one, there's an increased fine, 3 points on your license. If you get 3 within 2 years, we have the authority to suspend the driver's license for 90 days. And I haven't seen any second or third offenses yet, but we're seeing more and more of these, and I suspect we'll see more down the road.
I do see the offenses, so maybe it'll wake some people up.
Well, yes, I tend to agree. The other thing here on this current issue slide is strangulation. It's a term of art. Ohio is the last state in this country that makes strangulation a felony. I was surprised when I looked this up. Obviously, there have been agencies that have advocated, for the legislature to make strangulation a felony. Finally, they did in last year. And what that means is obstructing the airflow by the neck or the throat, or suffocation falls under the definition of strangulation, where you're blocking somebody's nose and mouth so that they can't breathe. Now, before, this would almost fall under domestic violence, which we can dispose of in the county court at the municipal court level. We can't dispose of strangulation. It's a felony. And what it means is if you create a substantial risk of physical harm, then it's a felony of the 5th degree. If the victim is a family or household member, it's a felony of the 4th degree. And whereas before, if you had something like that, it would be charged as a first-degree misdemeanor domestic violence, which we would dispose of at our level. The whole idea behind making it a felony is a more severe punishment, punishable by up to time in prison, not just local jail time. And there's graduated scales. Substantial risk of serious physical harm is a felony of the 3rd degree. And then if you actually create serious physical harm by using the strangulation definition, then it becomes a felony of the 2nd degree. Very serious charge. Next one. The last one I'm going to brief at this presentation is the Veterans Court docket. You've heard from me before. Preside over that docket. I'm very, very proud of the work that our treatment team does for the benefit of veterans in our community who found their way into the criminal justice system. My philosophy is that if a person's willing to raise his or her right hand and subject themselves to risk of life or limb, and if they've fallen off the wagon and they fall into the Warren County court system, there's a way for us to rehabilitate them. Now, this is all post-conviction. The convictions don't go away. In the common police court, my colleague across the street, Judge Tim Teeth, he has a veterans court, and that has a semblance by statute of allowing the charge to go away. Ours is all post-conviction because we see a lot of OVIs, a lot of domestic violence type cases that aren't sealable or expungable, and it's post-conviction. They volunteer for this. It's amazing how they volunteer for this. So they find out that it's an organization that's developed for individuals just like them. They're married up with a peer mentor, locally honorably discharged veteran from the community who's willing to get involved. And it's really interesting to see the results at graduation day. Graduation is a big deal for us. We've had 30 graduates since we started. We have 13 currently enrolled. The most proud statistic there is the recidivism rate of 11%, which is less than half what the normal recidivism rate is. And so that's kind of an indication that it is worth the time and effort. 0 additional taxpayer money. Nothing. No grants, no extra money that's not already collected by tax. It's just time and effort. So proud of that work. Subject to your questions, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you, Judge.
All right, I'll take over from here. Again, thank you very much for lending your time and your ears for us to do this. Some of the other current issues, the expungement and sealing of the records. Apparently in 2023, the state legislature decided that they were really going to revamp a lot of the criminal code. And this is one of the areas that they were revamping. Prior to 2023, attorneys would use expungement and sealing of the record interchangeably. Meant the same thing here. We're going to seal the document so that the public would not be able to see it. Only under very limited circumstances would anyone be able to see the record. For example, someone applying for a law enforcement job, you would still be able to see that. What they've done here is they've said, okay, let's have different definitions for expungement and sealing, and then let's take a look at what cases are going to be eligible for each. So to seal really means what we've done in the past, and that is we're going to have the records still in the courthouse. However, no one's going to be able to open them except for under very limited circumstances. Expungement basically means burn the records. That we're not going to, no one's going to be able to, as though they didn't exist. So that's going to be the difference between the two. One of the other changes that they've made in recent years is the number of cases that can be sealed or expunged. For a while, I know when I first took the bench 10 years ago or so, you could not expunge or seal a record if you had so many misdemeanors, or if you had more than one felony, you weren't going to be able to seal any of them. Well, they've changed that. So as far as misdemeanors go, with some limited exceptions like offenses of violence or a violation of a protection order, DUI, those can't be sealed or expunged. But everything else can. I mean, if you have 100 cases of theft, you could seal 100 cases of theft. So it's unlimited on the misdemeanor level. On the felony level, it's 5. So they're allowing people to, people have made some bad choices. It's still up to the judge to grant it, but a lot of people have made some bad decisions in their lives a second chance. That is one of the big changes in favor of the applicants. They also changed the fee structure. So if in our court someone has 5 different cases that they want to have sealed, they have one fee of $50 instead of 5 different fees at $50 each. And at the common pleas level, same thing. If they have multiple felonies of the 4th degree or 5th degree, so the lowest level felonies, and it's one fee if they apply to seal all of them. So they're revamping it, trying to make it a little bit easier for people to get a second chance. They are leaving it up to the judges to make that determination. And there are several factors that we have to consider in order to do that. I can tell you that people are taking advantage of it, and it's interesting to see. Most of the people that have come before us, or before me anyway, who are trying to take advantage of it, haven't had any cases in 10, 15 years. In order to seal or expunge a record at our level, you have to be out of the system. Probation has to have terminated at least 1 year prior to the application. Many people are waiting. Many times we want people to wait a little bit longer, just depending on the case, so that they can get that done. Public perception of the court system. I don't know what you guys think of the court system, but I can tell you that in the news, between several different people, Fannie Willis down in Georgia, the Trump case up in New York, and countless others, people are losing faith in the court system. And it's not necessarily without good reason. There are a lot of things going on in the court system. I mean, all the way up to the Supreme Court. The public perception of what our role is really diminished. And they just don't have faith in it anymore. So
One of the things that Judge Luxman and I do coming out here is we want to know what the perception is, and we want to make sure that we give a good perception. We require of our staff and the clerks are not under us, but I know Jim Spade and the newly elected clerk are going to require respect. They're going to require that law enforcement is respected, the attorneys are respected, and every individual who walks in there, be it a witness, a victim, or even a defendant, deserves the same amount of respect. And I know Judge Walkley does a very good job. He had the situation where many judges anyway, might not have handled it as calmly and coolly as he did.
You're too kind.
Well, you know, it's one of those that, yeah, he's a good partner on the bench, but seriously, maintaining calmness, maintaining the unbiased nature, impartiality is very important to us. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of other situations in the public anyway, where that's not held true. So we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come out here and demonstrate what we're about and what we want to maintain. I can tell you that common police judges are the exact same. They are respectful of everybody. And many people have said that. The last thing on here, new Warren County Clerk of Court, Brighton Smith. He came in, talked to Judge Loxley and I on his time, and we had a nice conversation with Brighton, and we're looking forward to working with him. I'm not expecting any real big changes, except possibly coming into the 21st century for our court. We've tried. I can tell you Judge Loxley has tried very hard with our current case management system to get it paperless, to get it so that it's a little more friendly to the public, being able to click on. We're just not there with our current case management system yet, but I do know that that is one thing that Brighton wanted to get done, and it's high on his agenda to make sure that the public has free access to the records as well. So we're looking forward to working with Brighton on that one. Next slide, please. We also, next year, will have a new court building. We started off in 6,700 square feet when Judge Luxman that first started 10, 11 years ago. When the sheriff had their new jail and sheriff's offices built, they moved out of our building. We took over their side, so we ended up with about 11,000 square feet. We're still a little bit tight. We have a couple extra spots for storage right now, but it's still a little bit tight. We are building what will be a 21,000 square foot building. There are going to be 2 full-size courtrooms, fully furnished. There will be a hearing room for a magistrate. There's going to be plenty of room to expand for us. There will be 3 judges' chambers, just in case. We have visiting judges at any time as well. There's going to be a lot of room for us. One of the things that we wanted to make sure we did with this new court space is have it big enough for common police to be able to use if they are in a pinch. So the county commissioners were also high on making sure that this was versatile, just in case something happened to the common police building. It is an older building. It's probably been renovated a dozen times. So who knows what's going to happen, but there's going to be some duplicity and redundancy within the ability for everyone to have it. And that means the jury trials, primarily, ours are only 8. And rarely do we have an extra juror just sitting there waiting in the wings, whereas common pleas is 12. So we need to make sure a jury room as well as a jury box could fit 12 or possibly 14 if there's going to be 2 alternates. So it is big enough to accomplish all of that. We do expect, the first timeline we were given was October next year is when we're going to have the keys turned over to us. We were told today that they're ahead of schedule. Not exactly sure if that's a day, a month, 2 months, but they said they're ahead of schedule. So God bless them for doing that. I know that they have incentives to not be late. So they're working diligently for that. I do not know if there's going to be a groundbreaking anytime soon. We're trying to schedule that for the future. Next slide, please. This is the outside look for the court building. If you've seen the new jail and the sheriff's office, we want there to be some consistency with the look anyway of that, with the same brick color, same marble looking color, that kind of thing. Next slide, please. All right. While Judge Loxley has his veterans docket, we have maintained our success docket, which is our mental health court. On the right it says 18 current participants. We're adding 2 more on Wednesday. So in 2 days we'll have 2 more participants. We'll have 20. We have so many participants right now that we decided we were going to break it up into 2 different sessions. So we have a morning session, which is what we've normally had on our Wednesdays, but we added a Thursday evening session. So some people who work during the day who would not otherwise be able to participate on Wednesdays, we have a Thursday evening, starts at 5:30. We currently have 5 participants on the Thursday evening, and they've been grateful about that. We have a graduate coming up in our next session. She's not sure if she's going to be able to be here on the 27th, or she's going to do it in July. So we do have several people getting ready to graduate that program. Like Judge Loxley's, we've had a very low recidivism rate. One of the issues with recidivism for both of us is many times our participants have drugs and alcohol as an issue. We can get them clean, keep them clean for the 18 months that they're with us. They still go back to people that they've been around. So trying to get them new mentors, which the Veterans Court does very well, getting different people to be around. Sometimes it's a struggle when they're released. But anyway, the recidivism rate is very low. We did have to make one change. While the Veterans Court has not spent one dime, we did have to. Because of the number of people, we needed a new probation officer. So you saw Maddie as our new probation officer. We have that because we had to dedicate someone for the success docket. While there are only 20 participants, you may seem that's low. It is a high volume. They require a lot of attention to try to keep them back on the right path. So we did have to spend some dollars. Now, we have those dollars. Those were set aside from some other court fees that we've maintained in a separate fund. So we're not spending any extra dollars. These are dollars that we've had, and we have enough dollars in there to pay our probation officer for about 10 years if we need to use those funds during the whole time. All right, next slide, please. These are some of the things we do in addition to coming out here. We do several bits of community outreach. Judge Loxley does quite a bit with veterans associations. I believe he went to a few graduations throughout the state for people for junior ROTC or individuals going into the military from high school. We have mock trials in our courthouse over the past 5 years, starting in 2020. We've had homeschool groups who are 8th graders come in and do a mock trial. This year we had 8 different schools representing 3 different trials for mock trials. It's been a lot of fun. Probably have had about 150 participants over those 5 years. So we're bringing the kids in, bringing their families in, giving them an opportunity to understand what we do. In addition to that, we host other students over at the courthouse, and we're an open court, so anyone can come and watch. We invite people all the time. Very few take us up on it, but it's fun to do. Next slide, please. Again, we thank you very much for providing us time to come out. It is a pleasure for both Judge Loxley and I. And like all of you, you guys are servants. You are also members of your community. You want people in positions to understand that they're holding a position. They are not defined by that position. We are honored to be judges for the county, and we look forward to serving a few more years. Any questions? Oh, yeah, okay, $100. We hit it. Hit the nail. Any questions for either one of us?
we appreciate you guys taking time to come up and share your knowledge with us. It's always great to see you.
It's always good to see you all. Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And I'm sure I'll see some of you at the fair.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. We also have a public hearing tonight for the 2025 tax budget. This time is our motion to recess the regular meeting and open the public hearing for the tax budget.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
All righty, sir. Russell. Before you tonight is the tax budget that is required by Ohio Revised Code. It requires the township to create an estimate of resources that will be available for appropriation for the next year in 2025. It's hard to believe that we're really talking about 2025 now, but that's part of the deal. As part of the preparation for the tax budget, I'd like to bring the board's attention to the police budget. The current budget appropriations that are in there are unsustainable in the future, and it's something that the board needs to be addressing. And I leave it to you guys as the board to discuss what solutions and what you would like to see accomplished.
Well, looking at the numbers, and, you know, we've known for some time that, particularly in the police budget, that this time is going to come to us. I mean, it's 99's the last time we ran a levy, and we've certainly had substantial growth during that last 15 years, and don't expect anything to change, truthfully. Anyway, so it looks to me like we're going to have to look at a levy, and we're going to have some guidance from Chief and Matt and Russell on a suggestion of what they think we're going to need to put on and for how long. How long do we want to run a levy? This one's, what have we gone, since 99?
25 years.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we've been pretty good with that, I think, and to a lot of people's hard work to do that. The chief's been conservative, and we've been tight. He hadn't always got everything he wanted, but it's worked out. It's worked out, and we need to do it the same thing again. So I guess, at least my thinking, that we need to put these guys to work and get us back something pretty soon, because, I mean, we need to get something on the ballot. And that's what we're going to need, guidance on that and some recommendations. I mean, I have some thoughts that sooner is better, but that's what these other guys think too, but I'm doing all the talking.
No, I mean, I think you make a very good point. I think it's 25 years, if we look across the board at all the community, essential services, we've done more with less for a long time, and I mean, we were at a point where we had to build a new building for the team based on the growth that we've had and the needs that we have in the long term, so we've addressed that. So that's not something we have to be concerned about in the next 25 years.
That's right.
So, I would think with a little bit of work, we can put together an outlook that, understanding the trend of growth that we're on, understanding what's left in that growth is probably going to be heavier in the township, obviously, than the surrounding community. So, it's kind of inevitable, unfortunately, but.
You say not sustainable, how long are you?
Well, essentially, if we could run it down to zero at the end of 2026, that would be, we wouldn't have enough money to start 2027. Now, having said that, you can't start a year with zero, because we can't, just the way our money is, we can't do that. So essentially, you need to have the money in the bank by 26. So that means that you have to pass something in 25 so that you could have money start coming in 26. So that's the progression of how that needs to be done. So it's one of those things that you sort of have to plan ahead to get this sort of stuff done.
Russ and I have had extensive discussions about it in recent weeks when the last one was developing with it, and like you had alluded to, it's been years in the making, and it wasn't sustainable. Full acknowledgement to the time it could not be worse with regard to what's happened with property valuations in the state of Ohio, and it's happened in some counties last year, some counties this year. We promised each other that we would take a look at the forecast and develop some options for the board to consider, not only new money or new levy, but to look at a renewal option for the existing levies, see how much the millage is estimated to be. Got some conservative estimates already from the auditor on that, and trying to right-size the levy to minimize or to mitigate the impact that it will likely have on people.
Absolutely.
And we definitely need to want to have some numbers and comparative to our peers, what we're spending to what they're spending for the same type of coverage.
Sure.
I think one of the things that I'm proud of, that John has done, and Ryan and that factor, and Matt and the team that we've had, we are still one of the only townships in this area that doesn't have a roads levy and a parks levy and all the other things that people are levying taxes for. So I think we can hang our hat on the idea that we have tried to stay within our means for a long time, and we're not asking for money to do something that's out of that. So you make a good point, but the fact is, these corrections, that I look at some of those things as corrections of things that needed to be done a long time ago.
Sure.
So it just so happens we're all in a
You get it all.
wait and see. Yeah, everybody's hitting it once. Obviously, the schools are another thing to consider, but at the same time, I don't think it's very hard to explain.
Nope.
It's just a matter of how we shape that message. So.
No, you're right, absolutely. Well, we've built, over a long period of time, we built this department into an excellent department. And we certainly don't want to go backwards and rebuild it again. Too expensive and too hard and not fair to the community.
Right.
But that's why we're here talking about it right now. That's why we're here. Well, then, I don't know that I need a motion, but if you guys just get to work and get us some numbers and give us some ideas, whatever.
We'll develop some forecasts and some options.
Yeah. So, yeah. What was the last fire levy? How many millions was it?
3.8.
3.8. I hope we can be below that. We'll see. It's good to give us some numbers so we can figure out what will take us out a few years. We don't have to come back in 5 years and say, hey, we got to do this again. We didn't do enough. Well, shame on us if we do that. Okay. Any comments? Anybody else have any comments?
Russ, do they have to approve the tax budget, or?
Well, they have to, once we leave the
Okay.
public hearing, then we'll have to have a motion to move the tax budget to the county.
Okay.
And Mr. Wade, it was 3.7, correct? The 01 levy was 3.85, the last 3.75. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you.
The one thing too is you do have to have, and I'm not suggesting you are going to, but if you're going to try to do something for November of 2024, you have to have the legislation done by August, just call it August 1st.
90 days.
Yeah, 90 days before. So, which requires two pieces of legislation. The first is to get the auditor to declare whatever mills you're asking for, what value it's going to generate, and then actually put it out. Both those have to be serially passed. So the one has to be passed 2 weeks before the other typically. And I give the auditor credit, they respond pretty quickly in terms of that. So
So we need to move forward pretty quick.
If you're gonna do it this year, yeah.
Well,
If
at
you wanna
this
get on the
point, I would say yes. But now, we need to sit around and talk about that. Maybe doing it in '24 isn't the right year, but let's talk about it. Get some numbers and see what we.
And again, my suggestion was not to say you should or you shouldn't, I just wanted to give you a
No,
timeline.
I get
If you
that.
want it for November of 2024, you gotta pass it essentially by August 1st.
It's the same way we have to be on the ballot too, at the same time.
Touche.
So, I mean, I would respectfully disagree, only because there's gonna be a lot of emotion going to that ballot box in November. So.
Could be.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. If I were a betting man, I'd say there is, but,
I think you're right.
yeah, I mean, we can talk through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there's data to back up, support or not support that, so.
Any other comments? Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
And with that motion, we're reconvening the regular meeting. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the tax budget that Russ has presented to us and move it on to the council.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw.
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Okay, public comments. I see that we have an unfamiliar face, so we have no public comments at this time.
No, sir.
All
Just
right.
trying to get up to speed on it all.
I'm sorry?
Just trying to get up to speed on it all.
That's good, good for you. And Russ, you're done?
Well, I do have one thing I wanted to let the board know about. I received an email from Duke that said that they were reducing their energy rates by 10%. Even if they did that, their rates are still going to be what we're offering the township right now. Our energy supplier said that Duke is going to go down to about 8 cents. We're at 6.86 cents per kilowatt hour, so it's we're still providing our citizens a very good aggregation program that's saving money for them. Got some numbers from our energy supplier and said that we've saved the township residents about $1.4 million over or less than what they would have been charged if they were using Duke's standard rate, which breaking that down saved about $758,000 for AES and about $630,000 for Duke. And the average, I'm sorry, that was reversed, but the average household in AES territory saved about $349, and then the average house in Duke saved about $285. So the aggregation program is continuing to be a success, and if people are worried about whether that's, if Duke is, trying to get the business back, we're still doing good on that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Russ about the numbers? Okay, moving on to new business. We have planning and zoning. We have resolution 5517, a resolution determining that the maintenance of vegetation on following specific tracts constitute a nuisance. We have two adjacent properties on Presley Court. Jeffrey?
Yeah, one is a repeat offender because it was prior to construction. Now the home is under construction, but they've not done anything with the lot. The second one, which is one property south, some of their property is maintained, some of it is not, so we're not sure what's going on. No one responded to our retainer, so go ahead and declare it as a nuisance. If obviously they're in process, we'll work with them to get things resolved.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff of 5517?
Do we add, Marion Drive to it?
That'll be its own resolution.
Okay.
So I have another one prepared.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We're going to get to that. So motion to approve 5517.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yeah. And then, we do have another one that was not printed, but we know that it was coming from Marion.
Yeah, so resolution, which will be 5518, is just dealing with the vehicles. So at this point in time, 2 additional derby cars that are in damaged, dilapidated, meeting the definition of junk from zoning have appeared on the property and stuff. So since we just in May, dealt with the issue, got the property cleaned up, starting to sickle their particular activity again, trying to get kind of patterns restarted. So I wanted to get ahead of that this evening. That's why it was something that was not part of your previous packet, just occurred. I thought we'd take the opportunity to have discussion. Nuisance is one option that we're doing. Other options, law director can further discuss. It is, in a nutshell, suing them. You know, so I'm not sure if you want to do a simultaneous pass, or you want to do one pass or the other, and that would be probably a discussion we should have prior to your action upon the resolution, just in case there's a decision. Do you agree, Mr.?
No, I think you could walk and chew gum at the same time, yeah. I think you
Okay.
could.
We can walk and chew gum
Yeah.
at the same time today,
Meaning,
so.
meaning I think.
Glad you think so highly of us.
Well,
Check out.
we've been only taking 10 years. I think that, I think you have three options. And maybe more, but certainly three. I wasn't dismissive of your point, I'm just saying you can do all three, if you'd like. And one is the nuisance process, in which case you go through, you declare junk vehicle. It's then 14 days. Correct. They have the opportunity to, in the statute, that they have the opportunity to remediate themselves. And if not, then we have the authorization on the property to take it ourselves. So that's one option, and I think that's a viable option, because at the end of the day, that gets it done, it gets it abated, and worst case scenario, it goes under taxes, so you're gonna get paid at some point. Maybe later, but you're gonna get paid at some point, it's gonna be a lien on the property.
If we do that though, that puts us right up, he's just gonna have the junk until the fair anyway, correct?
Well, so that's.
Fair starts on the 15th of July, the race is probably on Saturday.
So I'm gonna give you another two options, neither of which will address those, but they're the other two options. The one is, it's a misdemeanor, so you could ask the Warren County prosecutor to initiate a criminal action. That would not abate at all, though we should have asked the judges what their practice was. Obviously, they can't comment on any case that would come in front of them, what their practice is in similar cases about whether or not they require abatement as part of their sentence or in lieu of their sentence. And so, again, it's a $150 fine, it's a minor misdemeanor, so it can be charged every day that the property is not removed. Again, that doesn't remove the property, and there's still time in the process and discovery, and there's no way that that's going to get done by July 15th either. The third option, which won't get done this year, would be to sue them in common pleas for maintaining a nuisance. And that involves me, I can do that, and then you're gonna pay me to do that, and you're gonna pay me to go through the process, and you're gonna pay, and that common pleas process is longer and much more drawn out, more discovery.
If we do that, and they, in fact, after the fair and after their event, remove everything, do they just get away with that, or we can continue to sue them and
So many words to get away with. But with the exception that, if they were to, if we were to get a common pleas order that says, you can't do this again, and if you do it again, you're in contempt of this order, then rather than going through all this process, you would just haul them in contempt right away under the common pleas court's order.
And that's obviously what they're doing. They brought the cars in later this year than they have in the past, it seems to me, a little bit. They've had them there earlier towards the fair. So now they're gonna come in and just ignore us, pretty much, like they have for the last couple of years, until the fair's over, and then they disappear.
Well, do we know that the fair is the only time they use these things?
I think they're using them for various fairs, it's not just
Yeah,
Brown County. So it's a summer-long activity.
Okay.
When we cleaned up the property in December, I mean, they had in the backyard, they had an accumulation of vehicles that were removed at that point in time. So they've not been back in the rear yard in 2024, but I would be surprised if there's not things that have accumulated in that space in that time.
And these are on trailers, so they're transportable.
Yeah, they typically start as being on a trailer, within a couple of days, then they get rolled to the side yard, and they get rolled to the rear yard, or it would be in the side yard. So this is the first day of the cycle.
And this is one of those things that both Constitutions I don't mean it this way, literally, the Constitution's in the way. You know, you've gotta go through, you gotta give them due process, you've gotta declare a license, you've gotta make a finding in the criminal court, you gotta make a finding in the common pleas court. You gotta go through due process, and so, you know, if there's a certain amount of time that, once the efficacy of leaving them there is expired and then they pull them, well then, you know, they've beaten the system.
Right, well, they've been beating the system the way they've been doing it. If we declare a nuisance and at the same time go through that, the second option.
Yeah.
To where they're, you know, the finding becomes, contempt, then we've got some teeth to it.
Well, and the other thing too is that you think and I just don't know the Warren County Prosecutor's Office, because I don't have I can't prosecute.
Right.
That's the Warren County Prosecutor's determination, yea or nay. So, the one thing I would also suggest is, again, I think we can do all that, we can at least, you know, look at all three options. And one of the options being done tonight, the other option is me picking up the phone and calling, which I'll do.
Right.
And then the third option is a little more complicated, requires a little more marshaling of evidence, because you're in common pleas court, it's a much more drawn out process.
Well, I think we should do everything we can to get their attention, so to speak. And again, they've learned how to play the game very well. You need to stop.
Well, I will make,
I mean, yeah, I think 1 and 2 at this point, and then with the threat of 3.
yeah,
I mean, if we may be better off buying the house than prosecuting them, but.
so I will report back, I'll have a conversation, report back to the trustees, and certainly on 1 already going ahead with it, what 2 is, and then once we know what 1 and 2 are, we'll let you know what our options are for 3. But that will take more than, you know, you'll have a pretty,
But we'll be initiating the nuisance part tonight.
yeah, regardless.
Right.
Yeah.
So they got 14 days.
Right, they have 14 days after that, right. And again, if they don't do that within that 14-day period, then we can do it.
It went on extensively last year, and take it from the guy who spent the weekend at a dirt track. County fairs aren't the only locations where you're gonna find demolition.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Various.
That's what I mean, I think they're on the tour, and they come back during the week and they pull these things off the trailer and work on them and get them back to where they can run again, and off we go. I mean, I have a niece whose husband does this in Tennessee, where the zoning restrictions aren't quite as.
Are non-existent, are
I mean, sure they have zoning in Tennessee.
Yeah, that's correct, actually.
Yeah, no, I
Or
know
building
that.
permits.
Yeah.
In certain areas.
I know.
Or building permits.
I know,
Yeah.
my dad built a house there, I walked through the whole thing, yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Well, then let's, I'd like to entertain a motion to start the process and declare this a nuisance for this property on Mary Ann.
So I think, do you have a resolution?
Yes,
for us?
we have a resolution.
So you got 58
If you would
18.
read, if you, 5518, if you read the top of that header also,
All right.
read it into the record.
Okay. This is Resolution 5518 from Clearcreek Township Trustees, a resolution to,
Flip the page over.
I'm going to do that, a resolution to
There you go.
determine that the maintenance of a specific tract of land constitutes a nuisance and ordering the removal of junk vehicles after sufficient notice and dispense with second reading. Is there a motion to approve 5518?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Meterscroll.
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yeah. Well, that's all we can do is get started on it and let the neighbors know. And we'll, I guess just say continue to monitor that and we'll move as fast as we can to whatever step we can go to.
We'll be on. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey, anything else?
No, I can answer questions, but I don't have anything else to present, so.
Police Department, we have a recommendation to accept a generous donation of $500 from conservatives for Michelle Texka and for the benefit of safety helpers.
Yeah, nice donation. I'd ask the board to accept that. Safety Town starts next week, so I'm inviting any of you to stop by 5 Points.
Is that next week?
Yeah.
Tuesday?
It starts Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
You still need volunteers or?
I think we're good on volunteers,
Okay.
because Monday through Friday, Friday's graduation day, but we're welcome to stop by and see the kids going through the programs, and it continues to be a good place for the public, and it certainly is taking care of our children, trying to keep them safe, and a lot of programs, so we appreciate our donation because it keeps them going, so.
Absolutely. Wonderful program. Okay, is there a motion to accept this donation?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Anything else?
No, sir.
Fire district, just what you have under the consent agenda? Okay. Road department?
Nothing this time.
I see you moved quite a bit of dirt in up there.
Yeah, we got 28 inches to go, so,
28 inches to go.
to go.
And do you have an idea of where you're gonna get that dirt?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got some.
I know you got a bunch from the firehouse.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch from the firehouse.
That's awesome.
We still got some at the park, we were saving that, so.
Okay. Good. What's your timing to do that?
I hope to have the pad done this week.
Oh, wow, okay, good deal. 28 inches.
Don't be alarmed if there's a big hole out behind your house.
Need another fountain over your pond.
Another fountain. I've already cleaned my pond out, right? Okay, well, that's great. That'll be wonderful when we get that done.
It's great that we can do it ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kudos to you and the team.
Well, no, thank you.
And that's all you have, just administration?
Had nothing official business, but, thanks to Ryan communicating, coordinating, the fence guy from Eagle Fence Company will be out to the pickleball courts at Fish Allen to, work on the fence tomorrow. Soon after he finishes the fence, the sealing and striping will begin, so asphalt is cured, and the fence guy is coming in to wrap it up before we put the finishing touches on it. And the project needs to be done by the end of this month.
Very good.
Where are we with the new hire?
New hire.
HR?
Oh, she started. She started on, I think last Monday.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, so Randy, formerly Milburn, current name Michael, she worked with Mindy all of last week, in person, because Mindy was here covering for Sheila, who was on vacation. So I covered the front desk and, helping train Randy, so it's gone relatively smooth, and, Randy's starting to adjust and settle in, and, was asking great questions, and
Good.
should be a good asset for us.
Good. Okay, anything else under new business? Okay, we do have the consent agenda to approve. Any questions about the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Staff updates.
I have none unless the board has questions for me.
I do not. Anybody else have anything? This or that? Hearing nothing further to come before the trustees, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.